Okay, so I'm sitting down to record. It's like 10 p.m. and I've been having to fight against my urge to procrastinate and focus on literally anything but sitting down and recording. The autism brain is a problem sometimes, and it's why I occasionally fall into this thing of like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this particular thing, even though I really should do it. God, it's the reason why I've taken too long of a break on writing my freaking novel when I should be doing that more consistently to update it. I had a plan. I had a plan going into that. If you want an idea of how bad I am at sticking to my goals and when I say I'm gonna do shit, I wanted to like have this plan with my novel where I write at least one full chapter a month so I can continuously just update that shit weekly, and Anyway, I'm not here to complain about my problems. I am going to slightly complain about my autistic ADHD tier inability to, like, stick to a thing and be like, okay, I need to do this now, and not be like, oh, but I'm currently doing this other thing. I shouldn't, like, start this. Anyway, Bricky, Warhammer, 40K. This is part 2. If you didn't watch part 1 of the reaction, go do that. I hope you did. We went from talking about Chaos Space Marines and the Dark Mechanicum, and now we're talking about, starting off by talking about the Banana Boys. Okay. Video link in description. Go support Bricky. Usual YouTube plugs. Go support Original. Hopefully you watched that before you watched my stupid reaction, because I'm a scavenging goddamn wolf. Like, comment, subscribe, usual YouTube stuff. Brain, I need to get this locked in, because if not, I'm never gonna get it done anyway. So, that said, let's start. Okay, so I dialed it back a little bit to try and keep to the bit, so we're just gonna start from here and let Bricky go, wherever it is.
They are the
Perfect. Okay, good. Perfect starting point. Brain, don't do this to me right now. Ah! Okay, let's talk about the Golden Boys. Okay, I'll start this off a bit. The Custodies are one of those sub-factions that once I learned about them, I was like, wait, hold on, these are really cool. I said it at the end of the last video. I've always been a fan of, like, the elites of the elite factions in fictional settings, like your Praetorian Guards, to kind of put it into a historical description. Like, not only the best of the best, but the people who are so the best, they are trusted to guard the most important people around. In God, they are so good at their jobs, they count for 100 of the normal elites. Oh, the Custodians are so cool. They're so cool as these handcrafted, just specialized super soldiers of super soldiers. Like, the description basically, obviously Bricky will talk about it, but I'm just framing it. Basically, Custodians are to Space Marines, but Space Marines are to normal humans. It is so cool. They're so wild, and they're, oh god, Bricky will talk about it. I'll let Bricky talk about it. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about, like, oh, the Custodians, when we're about to talk about them and their relations to other subgroups. So anyway, let's go.
Where is the battle where an emperor's custodians outnumber our foes? We are ever beset, surrounded upon all sides by heresy and foulness, just as is Terra itself. Yet, like the throne world, we stand resolute, indefatigable, indomitable. Let the enemy come. Let them darken the horizon with their numbers. Still, we will prevail. Though the emperor sits rotting on the golden throne, his talons remain sharp. The talons of the emperor was the name given to the most elite forces at his disposal. The left hand of his talons comes in the form of the Sisters of Silence, psychic blanks that scour the galaxy to claim souls, to fuel the Astronomicon in the form of the Great Tide.
Okay, to give a brief bit of context, blanks are basically like anti-psychers, right? So if a Seiker is a person who has a very strong personal warp signature, like they have a very strong personal presence in the warp, but it's also why they can kind of open up a gate for warp demons, blanks are the opposite of that. They are like Seikers, but they don't have the same powers. They're literally a blank spot in the warp. Try and imagine it as, like, they're not soulless in a sense. I mean, technically speaking, they are soulless, yes, at least in regards to warp mechanics. But, like, when Seikers are near blanks, depending on the strength that the blank has, it can just kind of make them go crazy, purely by the process of they're around something that is just anti-them. Blanks are such a cool concept. I hope Ricky does it. Oh god. Look up a video about blanks if you haven't. They're super crazy in terms of just the conceptual level of what they do and how they operate mechanically.
1,000 Seiker sacrificed daily.
Oh, hey, he brought up the fucking. I brought it up in the last video when he mentioned Emps getting plugged into the throne about the like 1,000 Psychers daily. Oh, of course, Bricky brought it up later.
To keep the Emperor of Mankind alive, dragged into the black ships of the Silent Sisterhood. The right hand of the Emperor's protectorate, his golden bodyguards that serve him and only him. These are the Custodians. While the members of the Space Marines went out to take back the galaxy, the Legio Custodes stood back and kept a close watch over the Emperor himself. The Custodes are, in a sense, similar to Space Marines in that they are genetically modified super soldiers clad in power armor, but that is where the similarities stop.
We also jokingly call them bananas because they're pointed helmets and the gold armor. It makes them look very pointy, very banana-like. But their designs are so cool, though. Like, look at that armor, man. Oh, my God. Also, I love their weapons. I love the weapons they have. God, it's so cool.
Their genetic makeup seems to be made from the Emperor himself, or at least something quite close. The precision of their creation predates the development of the Space Marines and even the Primarchs. Unlike Space Marine recruitment, where there's a process undertaken when a subject is at least somewhat grown, a Custodian's process begins at infancy. The methods in which they are made are a secret, but what is known is that at the very beginning, each Custodian was made by the Emperor himself. Regardless of the bioalchemical process, the process is exceptionally long and grueling, and only a handful of selected aspirants make it to the end. Those that do are clad in the most regal and effective armor in the Imperium. Commonly, a Custodian is seen carrying a Guardian Spear, an yoked up version of the stabs the Praetorian Guards of the...
You're getting distorted too for making me... Yeah, thank you, editor. Oh, thank you, editor, for distorting the Disney footage. That way the copyright... Screw you, Disney.
Emperor in Star Wars hat. They are also clad with...
Also, why did we use footage from the sequels for a lightsaber? Actually, no. Okay, you know what? No, that was probably the best footage they could get of like the saber halberds. That's fair. You know what? That's fair. That's probably the best footage you could get of a fight with those things.
Specific shields and blades. But the most interesting thing...
The fact that all of their stuff has a bolter strapped to it, like, look here, like, look, it's a power sword with a bolter attached to it. It's so, God, I want to imagine a game, like, imagine a Space Marine 2 style game where you get to play as a, no, you'd be too OP. You'd be way too OP playing a Custodian, getting to do that shit. What if it was like an alternate game mode where rather than, like, calling it a Dreadnought, you get enough points, and then you get to call in, like, a Custodian if you're playing Space Marines. If you're playing Chaos Space Marines, you get to call in, like... Shit, I don't think Chaos Space Marines have an equivalent to a Custodian. No, I guess it'd be, like, a Warband Master, then. Like, a super jacked-on Chaos Warband Master to be the equivalent of, like, this OP-ass character that a random member of the team gets promoted to if they get the points, and, like... They get a single life to try and tear through the enemy team as long as possible. I don't know. It sounds like a cool PvP concept for some kind of game mode in Space Marine 2. I doubt they'd do it. I mean, I know that in Space Marine 1, they had Dreadnought Assault, where if you got a certain amount of points while playing through the game, one of your team members would just respawn as a Dreadnought, and then you could just go to fucking town. Interesting thoughts. Anyway.
With all of their gear, is that due to the meticulous and dedicated maintenance and preservation of their armor and gear, these items are the same ones they used 10,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, it's so cool just in the concept of these being like these intense ancient relics that have survived thousands of years because they're so meticulously and perfectly crafted that they have lasted the entire time. I love lost technology concepts, even though 40K takes it in a way that I personally don't much prefer, though it is very cool in the way they do it.
The Custodians do not age biologically, so some of the veterans in the Guard may be several thousand years old. Unlike the Space Marines, they fight entirely as a solo force. When a line of Custodians is holding back waves of enemies, they operate independently. There are no battle formations, there are no squad tactics. Each Custodian is the main character.
I mean, okay, so the Custodians, I'm sure, I mean, obviously, Bricky mentioned it. There's only 10,000 Custodians, right? there's only 10,000, and yet they're also divided up among their own subgroups based on like the thing they're meant to do as a custodian. Like you have the honor guard themselves. I forget some of the faction names, but like when you have a group of only 10,000 strong and you still have to have subdivisions, that's only going to be like maybe a couple hundred per like grouping of your overall thing. So it's no wonder that each one operates as an individual, even when they happen to like share their not quite chapter, but I guess you could say division, right? Like if we can think of Space Marine chapters as like the overall like subdivision of like their tactics, their styles, the kind of development they have, then it's very much like custodians. Their divisions are very much more clean, like what you would get in like a military unit, right? Like, oh, you have the guys who do this, their specialization is this and that. Like Space Marines obviously have that too, but custodians are much more like particular about that. Like, oh yeah, this shield, because I do believe they're called shields, does this shield does that. There's like one shield, their entire job, I think they're like the Aquilian shield, is that they pop into battlefields where like particularly important humans who have some destined connection to the Imperium are, and they just drop in to protect this person. Bricky in one episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast, and someone animated it, made a whole joke about it of like a show called The Custodians and the Guardsmen, of like this one poor unfortunate guardsman soul who has this 9-foot tall golden demigod with him at all times because you are destined for greatness with the Imperium, Guardsman. I might have to play that short. I might have to just react to Adeptus Custodes animated shorts because they're all really cool and really funny. Also, watch the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. It's really good. It's really nice. It's really informative. They've branched out recently from talking about more than just 40k as the years have gone on.
Trailed by serfs and servitors, tasked entirely to reload their weapons, they fight with a singular purpose, if not action. Groups of custodians will dispatch enemy after enemy, their spears coming within inches of each other, but never close enough for a killing blow. Their strikes are intentionally defensive, allowing their opponents to attack 1 to 2 times before parrying and ending their lives. Each strike deflected is an opportunity to know their enemy more and learn from their patterns. They are truly the Emperor's bodyguards, masters of close combat, enemy knowledge, and reactions measured in milliseconds. Though the custodians are a part of the Adeptus Terra, the members of the Guard only answer to their own leadership and the Emperor himself. The leader of the custodians is known as the Captain General, and individual squads of custodians are overseen by a shield captain.
Yep, I was right. Shields. Yep. So funny tidbit of trivia. If the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, I don't think at the time that it was being made that the Custodes had a like canon Captain General at the time. Like, I don't think we knew who the current Captain General was. Hell, I still don't think we know who it is. If they, I need to refresh myself on some lore, but one of the perspective characters, the one who was like asking the Emperor the questions or feeding him information precisely, was Kitten, who was portrayed as being the Captain General of the Custodes at that time, and one like several other cool tidbit about Custodes. I don't know if Bricky will mention it. We'll see. I'll just mention it ahead of time. Is the interior of their armors is actually carved with all of the names that they have earned over their careers. So like the particularly old Custodes have hundreds of names inscribed along the inside, along the interior of their armor plating. Like they earn names as marks of recognition. And like, yeah, they'll go by one, but they'll probably have like dozens, if not hundreds more carved into their armor. It's such a cool concept.
As their focus is on the Emperor, their command center is located within the Imperial Palace. The Tower of Hegemon serves as their primary base of operations, but there is a dedicated elite guard of custodians known as the Companions that stands 300 strong by the Emperor's side.
That's how many are in the Okay, I did not know the precise number of the Companions.
In total, the custodians are 10,000 strong, and when a member retires, their name is added to the Hall of Name and vanish across the galaxy in a cloaked disguise to serve as eyes and ears for the Imperium.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Despite their numbers and their strength, the members of the Custodes do not consider themselves to be soldiers or warriors in any way. They see themselves strictly as the guardians of the Emperor in all facets of his presence. This extends beyond the physical. Custodians believe they represent the guarding of the Emperor's ideals and philosophies too. Their gains are both physical and literary. They are the protectorates of everything the Emperor stood for, and in doing so, the custodians are also artisans and scholars, in addition to being the golden guard of the Golden Throne. However, due to this nature of being protectorates, they have a very strong view when it comes to the Space Marines and the Primarchs.
Yeah, I don't, if I remember right, wasn't, yeah, no, I don't, I forget some of the lore, but like, yeah. Some of the custodians had choice words when it came to some of the Primarchs.
The Emperor himself had insinuated many times that once the galaxy was brought to heel, that there would be no need for the Space Marines anymore, and they were to go the same way that the Thunder Warriors went before them.
Guess what didn't happen?
The custodians were meant to be the judge, jury, and executioner of this will, and are biologically designed not only to be able to take down Space Marine with ease, but to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Primarch as well. During the heresy,
Yeah, they're basically like pseudo Primarchs in their own right, which makes the fact that there's 10,000 of them very scary.
the custodians mused on how suspiciously easy it was to kill Chaos Space Marines, as if they were trained and made for that explicit purpose. Constantine Valinor, one of the closest advisors of the Emperor, was asked if he ever disagreed with Big E on something, and he said once, with the formation of the Primarchs.
I feel I do my best, but they don't.
Let me ask you a very fair question. What do you do successfully?
Oh my god, that is like, I've seen that clip from Drag Race be used before, and it's so funny every time.
Quickly.
I hate that every time we're in Untouched, the conversations are about me.
And
I don't know why that clip is so funny, but it makes so... It's the... Oh god, I've never watched Drag Race. I think I'm too straight to be allowed to watch that show, but it's the judgment behind it all. It's like, what do you do well? Quickly. It's like, oh, please regale us. Oh, person of the complaints. Oh my god, the sass is so fantastic.
besides the trained distrust for Space Marines, the custodians also have evidence for their distrust. The Horus Heresy saw half of the chapters fall.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair. I mean, like, look, if you've been genetically pre-programmed to be the eventual executioner of these supposedly temporary soldiers, and then half of them turn traitor because their dads, like, had various potentially justified reasons for doing what they did. Let's be totally honest, some of the Primarchs were very justified in turning traitor on the Emperor, as Bricky explained earlier. Would you not, in the position of the custodians, go, hey, we were fucking right? So, like, yeah, yeah, a lot of reasons to be like, wow, I don't trust these guys at all. Nope. Anyway.
To chaos and turn traitor against the Emperor. In the mind of a custodian, the fact that half of the Space Marines fell before means that the other half can fall with ease. They are
Dark Angels. What? Nothing. What? I wasn't insinuating anything. What?
fully capable of wiping out literally any force put against them, and in a sense are the final representation of the golden age of terror. However, they are forced to stand in silent and blind service to the Emperor and to the ill of the Imperium. And they, for 10,000 years, have stood vigil over the Imperium and have watched its rise and fall with the inability to do anything about it. While they do go out and fight some battles here and there, at the end of the day, the vastness of the Imperium means that the closest advisors to the Emperor himself are powerless to make any change. But God
Oh, and the wonderful irony that that is presented as. Like, imagine you are this nigh all-powerful demigod of sorts who has the power to help make sweeping, possibly necessary change to the empire you are sworn to protect. But because you are sworn to protect the emperor, who is currently a corpse on a throne, by the way, serving as a battery, I don't know. I feel like that'd kind of fuck you up a little bit. I feel like that'd kind of leave you a little burned out, a little like, damn, I'm loyal to the end, but I can't do shit because I'm stuck guarding this living battery. Not that they would probably ask that questions. I don't think they are designed to ask those kinds of questions. Unfortunately, problematically, worryingly.
God damn, can they kill a space marine? For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready, always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. Of course.
Oh yeah, that's a cool thing about the Custodes, is that like they standing their vigil in the Sanctum Imperialis is like they are stock still, like golden statues in the halls, unmoving yet always watching. Imagine you are an imperial citizen, or like you're one of the many, no doubt, thousands of workers who has to help maintain the palace. And every day, as you walk the halls, you just have these titanic golden gods watching every move you do, silently, patiently waiting. For as many of these people, lifetimes passing with them not even so much as budging. Good God, that is insane to think about. I gotta wonder, how many times would you say a custodian has been standing vigil and they've been there for 100, 200 years, and they've just seen tons of different humans come and go and pass by without any issue, like just repeatedly, like, oh hey, saw that guy. Huh, he's suddenly a lot older. Oh well. Anyway, we got more to do. I'm trying not to yap too hard because I don't want to be here for another like 45 minutes and barely get through half the video. We've already been here 22 minutes. We're only just finishing up the Custodians. So, way to freaking go, me. We got through this next segment though, because we got a few. I kind of want to save, because we go from this to like this. I kind of want to save to do these ones together, like these ones, and then we finish off with the last three Xenos factions. I think would be good. So, because next up we have the orcs. I can't do a good enough Cockney accent. So anyway, we'll finish this off with the orcs, and then we'll do like part 3 as like the rest of the Imperium. Kind of weird that the orcs are actually next. Wait, that feels oddly out of order. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it was edited. Anyway.
Of course, a threat directly to Terra itself would appear to be something foolish. It's the deepest parts of Imperial space.
Oh, wait. I know how he's going to set this up.
And is one of the most defended bastions in the galaxy. You truly have to be foolhardy or insane to think that you can take on Terra itself.
Orcs, 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 orcs.
Close. In the dark ages of the stars and in a river of misery, one faction having a cracking old time. The galaxy sees them as savages, yet they have already figured out the questions of the universe. Their numbers are uncountable, their technology incomprehensible, and yet their violence is so very green. I am talking about the
British? For those who are coming into this video and somehow don't know, the orcs are based on British football hooligans. So they all speak in thick Cockney accents and are just absolutely fucking insane. The red ones go faster, you get? I can't do the accent well enough, but I love trying to imitate an orc. Oh, let's go.
Orcs are the pinnacle of creation.
Also, it's misspelled. It's supposed to be orcs with a Z. or Zed to not piss off my Canadian and European brethren. Me and my Americanisms.
For them, the great struggle is won. They have evolved a society which knows no stress or angst. Who are we to judge them? We Eldar who have failed, or the humans on the road to ruin in their turn? And why? Because we saw answers to questions that an orc wouldn't even bother to ask. We see a culture that is strong and despise it as crude.
Dude, imagine being an Eldar and you're coping so hard. You're like, maybe the orcs have a point, actually. It's like, we're here being philosophical and asking all these questions. Meanwhile, these guys are just having fun. Maybe they're the right ones. As the saying goes when it comes to orcs, the saying is, the only people in the galaxy having fun are orcs, and that is a problem. That tells you a lot about how bad it is that they're having fun.
During the war in heaven, the Old Ones were doing their best to spawn as many combatants to their cause as possible.
Oh, hey, orc music.
Treating the galaxy in a specialized sense. The Eldar were made to be a precise and tactical species, to fight off the Catan and the Necrons. But
I love I paused right as the transition started. What the fuck?
a prominent species was made by them as well.
Gregs.
The Krork were warriors clad in ornate.
Dude, I just realized it's the Giga Chad. Oh no. It's the Giga Chad meme, but as a Kork, the Giga Orc. I'll move out of the way a bit so you can see it. Giga Orc.
Ornate armor with more dangerous weaponry. However, things changed, and these warriors changed, and the Krork are no more. They are now known as the boys, the lads, the mates, the orcs.
What did I say? What did I say? They're based on British football hooligans.
An orc in 40k looks like an orc in most other fantasy media. Hulking, warlike monstrosities with big teeth and worse attitudes. However, unlike the more Tolkien-esque forms of these creatures, the devastating nature of the orcs is in their biology. Unlike most species in the galaxy, the orcs are actually a type of fungus. This fungus itself comes in various forms. The small goblin-like Gretchen and Snotlings are a part of this fungal ecosystem as well.
I like how we just have diagrams of orc biology and shit.
And also the squigs, which can be used for basically anything. But regardless...
Okay. Fun tidbit about that. Bricky, again, to plug Adeptus Ridiculous again because it's really fun. They did a squig tier list. And there are so many different types of squigs. It is ridiculous how many squigs there are and what they get used for. Squigs are accessories. They are weapons. They are tools. They are pets. They are goddamn bombs. They are the hair that orcs wear. Because every orc is bald. Orcs don't have hair. So what do they do when they want hair? They take a squig that has hair and just attach it to their head. It's hilarious. The orcs are just completely taking the piss out of everything and having a good time doing it. And they are scary because of it too, by the way.
Regardless of what is a part of the fungal system, all of them are born from spores that land on the ground and grow. As they travel around the galaxy, they drop spores literally everywhere, and then an orc dies, and they drop tons of fungal spores that allows for their numbers to be replenished over a period of time. Because of this, orcs are not only extremely prominent across the galaxy, but they are exceptionally resilient due to their growing cycle. Even if one orc lands on a planet, it will be nearly impossible to get rid of all of the orc presence unless the planet itself is completely destroyed. And even then, they might find a way to survive.
Yeah, orcs are ridiculous like that. You can exterminatus their ass, and they might still stick around just because they felt like it.
Due to their fungal nature, orcs don't really stop growing, and the more long-lived an orc is, the bigger they get, and the more an orc fights, the bigger they get. Of course, since they're constantly...
And the biggest one is the boss. I'm failing to do the accent. I apologize.
Getting into scraps, an orc's lifespan isn't necessarily that long, so the bigger orcs are harder to find. Though alongside this, however, they are a tribe-based species that is comprised of war bands, and the biggest and the strongest orc leads the war band known as the war boss. At the bottom end of the orc tribal system are the Gretchens and the Snotlings. These members act as the servants and slaves of the orcs, and sometimes their actual ammunition.
Oh, yeah, no. Dude, everything about orcs is like what happens when you take a ridiculous comedy character and implant it into a grimdark setting. They are simultaneously as hilarious as they are implicitly horrifying. It is a wonderful blend of the two ideas.
Despite being a bit smarter and more cunning than their bigger brethren. Because in orc culture, the biggest is the boss. The smallest gets picked on and thrown around. Beyond the war bands and the tribes, orcs also belong to a specific clan. Tribes constantly shatter and rebuild, but the clans do not. They are, in a sense, a psychological state of being for any given orc, and gives an orc their specific character and traits. And to make things easier, these clans are also color-coded, so that's very easy to tell what orc does what.
You've never seen a purple orc because they're all so stealthy. Bricky will explain.
Though there are many clans out there, 6 of them are the most prominent and well-known. The Bad Moons are essentially the merchants and have a lot of money because their currency is teeth, and they grow teeth faster than any others. The Blood Axes are the stealth units, and by stealth, it means like slightly more quiet than the others, and they have a love.
Yeah, the orc definition of stealth, be slightly quieter.
For LARPing as humies. Death Skulls are the scavengers, and the Goths are the close combat specialists. And on the two ends of the spectrum, we also have the tech-savvy Evil Sons, and the more traditionalist and tribal Snakebites. Another major facet of orcs is their religious beliefs. They believe in 2 gods, Gork and Mork. Gork is cunningly brutal, and Mork is brutally cunning. The difference between them, according to orcs, is that Mork hits you when you aren't looking, and Gork hits you when you are.
I love that.
There's a lot of confusion as to which one is which, and this results in a lot of infighting. In other species, this would be considered a sort of religious conflict, but for the orcs, it's just another excuse to fight. I have a quote here, but I don't really do a good orc voice, so I'm going to get my co-host, so that's ridiculous.
Oh.
Read this one, and I'll try to lip sync it. Oh, he's more cunning than a
Hey there, DK.
and more killy than a dread. The boys that follow me can't be beat. On Piscina, we jumped the Marine boys, and our boss pose was covered in the helmets we took from the dead-ends. We burned their port and killed their bosses, and left nothing but ruins behind. I'm Warlord Gezgul Mac Uruk, and I speak with the word of the gods. We's gonna stomp the universe flat and kill anything what fights back. We's gonna do this 'cause we're orcs, and we was made to fight and win.
Gazgul Raka, one of the coolest war bosses out there. Also, one of the craziest, but then again, that's just an orc thing. Like, come on.
It's because this fucking sounds terrible. Fighting is an aspect of orc culture, and it's essentially their life's.
Oh, hey, the pirate orcs. I forget the Storm Boys, I do believe is their name. Which is funny because they are the most, I forget, there's one faction of orcs, I think it's the Storm Boys or it's some other group, where they're actually organized and they worship corn, and every other orc thinks they're crazy because of it. Like, oh god, it's so funny. Please, someone in the comments, if you know a bit more about that, like, that's just the faction I heard about. If you can give a detailed explanation, please do, and timestamp this bit so I can find it easier.
Purpose. They are genetically hardwired to get into battles and scraps with enemies that can feel pain. The more they fight, the bigger they get. This, combined with them getting bigger over time, means that some of the biggest and baddest orcs of all time have been notably gigantic. The Beast, as he was known, was about the size of an imperial knight. If an orc...
God damn! I knew the beast was big, but I didn't think it was that big.
Runs out of other enemies to fight, they will immediately start infighting to scratch the battle itch. For example, the Warp, a planet exists where
Oh wait, I know this story. This one's so good.
a band of orcs orcs are in a constant state of war and battle, and have been for an improbably long amount of time, strictly because how much Khorne enjoys himself watching it. For some, being trapped in a perpetual war planet for all eternity would be a fate worse than death, but to the boys, this is heaven. In the event.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of my favorite orc stories. I forget the name of the particular band, but basically they got stuck in the warp, ended up on like a Khorne-turned chaos world, started fighting the Khornate demons, and it's just basically Valhalla for them. Khorne is totally cool with it because Khorne doesn't care from where the blood flows. Khorne only cares that the blood is flowing to begin with. And watching a bunch of orcs scrap with his demons, oh, that's just a gift. That's a Saturday night show, man. That's enough to pull out the popcorn and kick it up. That's fun. That's entertainment. That's class act. The good shit for him.
Of a particularly big battle, a massive amount of tribes and war bands will unite under what is known as the Wa.
Wah! If I remember right, there's like a whole song-based POE on that word. It's so funny.
The concept of a Wa covers a few bases. The first is the group aspect of the massive green tidal wave of orcs fighting for the same cause.
Just a ton of orcs. Just a ton of very angry, very violent cockney mushrooms.
Cause being the second base, but the most prominent aspect of the Wa is the psychic aspect of it. Remember?
Oh yeah, funny thing, orcs have psychic powers. Ricky will explain.
How the old ones made the Eldar and all the Eldar are psychic? Well, the orcs are too, kinda, but just not as much. Only a little bit of it. And they often don't know how to use it and frankly don't care. But a huge gathering of orcs generates a psychic field that allows orcs to be more organized, dangerous, and dedicated to the war-based cause. However, the true extent of the psychic energy and its usage is relatively unknown, but that doesn't matter considering the outcome 90% of the time. In a similar sense, their ragtag technology and weaponry is also a mystery to most who encounter it purely because of that Wa energy. The technology the orcs use seem to be held together with duct tape and plastic glue. Rude doesn't even begin to describe it. Their guns seem to have an inordinate amount of ammunition and firepower, and they are seemingly able to put things together on the fly in the middle of combat. The Imperium is of the mind that the orcs' weapons and machinery only work due to their innate psychic ability, but realistically, orc gear hardly works in the first place. Weapons blow up in a Bugs Bunny-esque manner all the time, and they're
oh yeah, no, the orc's psychic ability is literally, it's cartoon logic. It's literally just cartoon logic. I think I remember one of the stories where like a bunch of Imperial Mechanicum scientists were picking apart an orc gun, trying to figure out how it worked, and it just made no mechanical sense at all. It was just a complete hodgepodge of nonsensical parts slapped together in the vague shape of a gun, and they just couldn't make it work. Or I think they managed to make it work. They didn't know how. It just did, or it blew up in their hands. Either way, it's an orc gun. It does that.
Their war buggies can collapse in the middle of battle. Just because it works a handful of times does not mean it's an effective weapon.
Also, the red ones go faster, don't you know? Literally, no, that is how it is. Like, orcs believe certain colors produce certain effects, and they believe in it so hard that it actually works. Like, they believe that if you paint a vehicle red, it goes 3 times faster. Hey, yo, Gundam reference. And, so when they paint a vehicle red, it goes 3 times faster. Like, one of my favorite bits about orc comedy is one time when the orcs were out in space, and by the way, their ships don't have any kind of field, they don't have any kind of life support systems. They just believe the ship works, and it protects them. And then there was one time some orc boys went to the outside of the ship to do some repairs with heavy air quotes to it. And they didn't have their suits on, which for orcs is probably gonna be fine. But then when the other orc was like, "Hey boys, you forgot your space suits." That was a New York accent. That wasn't Cockney. That was like some fucking vague ass New York shit. What the hell? But anyway, it was like, "You boys forgot your suits." And then the other orcs realized it and immediately died. They just immediately died after another one said they forgot their spacesuits. Orcs are so goddamn funny.
But this doesn't stop the orcs and their green tide. To really understand the power of the Wa energy, orcs can operate purely off of belief. Now, a misconception is that orcs believe something is real and it happens.
Oh, okay, so I'm being corrected. Never mind.
But that isn't true. because that's just one orc. However, there's never one orc. There's normally a few billion orcs together, and if
Basically, they all collectively believe it so hard it just comes true.
they all believe something is true, the warp will tend to respond with a positive green light.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
I love the sometimes. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
the red ones go faster? Well, with enough orcs, yeah. How does an orc buggy with an engine block that's just a boulder with vroom vroom written in chalk? Who cares? Orcs breathing on a ship with a hull breach? Go ahead. An orc
Oh my god, literally just that exact scenario I mentioned.
went back in time to kill a version of himself so he could have two of his favorite weapons. It is shenanigans.
Oh yeah, no, it's oh yeah, no.
Because of their actions and aesthetic, the orcs tend to be presented in a comic relief sense in a lot of media, particularly the media from their perspective. They are bumbling and loud and goofy British football hooligans, and they say silly things and act in silly ways. But to the citizens of the Imperium, the orcs are far from funny. They are violent and irrational creatures that take humans for punching bags, or ultimately dinner. They have no moral compass and are violent and brutal killers that know nothing else. They are genetically designed to be a violent species that was capable of beating back the Necrons and the Catan. And if the orcs were ever able to unify under one banner, they would be utterly unstoppable. However, due to their aggressive nature, their organizational skills are non-existent, and they tend to just beat each other up for the fun of it.
To the fortune of everyone else in the galaxy.
All that exists in the mind of an orc is fighting, and nothing else. If they wipe out their enemies, they will inevitably wipe themselves out as well. They are a brutal Ouroboros doomed to an endless war cycle, but to an orc, why does it matter? If they fight and they win, they win. If they fight...
Man said Aurora Boris in, oh my god, the editor. What's an ex-British Prime Minister doing here?
Fight and they die, it was a good fight. Now that the Xenos armies are growing in strength and more are...
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, no, this makes sense if we're going in chronological order.
Of the Imperium, they need to bring new methods in order to handle what they are currently facing. The Emperor is on the Golden Throne. Half the Space Marines are traitor, and they are beset from enemies within and without. So now, the Lords on Terra must prepare for anything possible, and sometimes the impossible. For that, they take to the stars to explore and expand. They recruit assassins for priority eliminations, they train a galactic police force, and a secret police to root out any and all heresy.
Oh yeah.
Yet most feared.
Next time, anyway. God, I cannot believe that I made 2 segments of the video go for almost 45 minutes again. Why do I yap so much? Like, it's not even yapping long term. It's just how often I, like, butt in to say some shit. It's not even, like, collective. It's not like I go on 10-minute long tangents all the time. It's usually, like, only a couple of minutes. But then you add it all up, and it's like, oh, yeah, no, I'll be here for 45 minutes talking about other things. Anyway, next time, we're talking about the Imperium again. Because it's agents, and then assassins, and other shit like that. It's a whole lot of fun. Anyway, till next time, I'm going to be spending the rest of the night It's not like I'm going to be here editing for too long. It's not like this is hard to edit, you know? It's not like an intensive editing process. Ooh. I got to make a couple of cuts and add in some background music at the beginning and the end. Ooh. Whatever. Till the next one. God damn it, me.